Is wholesaling becoming illegal? Guys, I see so much stuff out there about, hey, should I get a license? You better get licensed. You're going to go. I've heard someone tell me you're going to go to jail. They're going to take your house away. So let's talk about it. Is it illegal to wholesale? And I'm going to give you the definitive answer is no. There is a lot of confusion. There's a lot of hype, and there is a lot of things being thrown around in the industry. And what I want to boil down today is what's fact and what's fiction. And the bottom line is to help you make a decision on your direction with wholesaling to keep you legal and compliant. But listen, before we get into it, my name is Rick Ginn with Flip with Rick. I need you to go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the absolute best up-to-date information from wholesalers that do this business full-time with myself and Zach. So, is wholesaling illegal? I've already told you it's not. And I'm going to run you through on the misconceptions and why we've gotten to the point of this. The reality is, what's going on here is a lot of states, actually in specific 3 or 4 states, I'm not even going to name them by name because I don't want to confuse people, are trying to get wholesalers to get a license. Why do they want a license? They feel like they can be regulated. The problem is when sellers have a problem or realtors, they file a complaint with their state, with the Consumer Protection Agency, whatever it is, and they get enough complaints, it gets in front of politicians, and it's like, oh, how can we get rid of these like really bad people? Well, they think by licensing it, it will fix the problem. In my opinion, a license is just permission to give someone money to charge you for a right, take it away, and give it back to you. Why, if you want to regulate our business, is why do I have to be licensed as a broker or a real estate agent? The reality is NAR is a National Association of Realtors. They want us to be licensed under them to regulate real estate business. So keep in mind, NAR is the same business that the Department of Justice is suing right now for antitrust lawsuits for manipulating the market with buyer and seller agreements on MLS, specific commission listing agreements when people list their house. People get upset when deals go awry, when sellers get upset, real estate agents get upset, and the answer from politicians is let's regulate anybody that does business in real estate so they get a license so they're regulated. And listen, NAR, which is a National Association of Realtors, loves this because it kind of forces most people in the funnel to become a licensed real estate agent, parking your license with a broker, and basically having you pay state fees and hopefully joining the MLS. I have a choice. Do I get licensed or not get a license? So what I'm going to do is I've basically broke down some of the specific topics that particular states are trying to go after and hit wholesalers on violation. Number one, you have to understand that the biggest and best way to protect yourself as a wholesaler is, for the most part, I don't feel you have to get a license. So I've been doing this business 19 years with no license. I'm not a big fan. If your state requires you to get a license, then comply. There's some states where they've kind of written the regulations where it's still legal wholesale. A lot of people are telling you, just get a license, get a license. Guys, getting a license makes you liable for all transactions, no matter what umbrella you're under, and you have to comply with state regulators as far as answer questions, even on wholesale deals, even assignment deals. You have to understand that your biggest risk is always going to be with your sellers. So rule number one, if you want to stay legal in wholesaling, make your sellers happy. Go out of your way to make sure they're happy with your transaction. How do you do that? At the end, when the property's sold, no matter how you do it, flip it, assign it, whatever you do, get a video testimonial. Why? Because that proves your seller was happy at the time. It gives you peace of mind. It also, the seller goes, okay, I've done a documented video. I'm happy. I'm happy with Rick. I'm happy with what Zach did. And it kind of documents your case if it ever comes back to blow up on you. Obviously, use a local, reputable, licensed title company to take down the deal. And guys, honestly, like simple things like being honest, being ethical, getting video testimony. Your number one risk in wholesaling is if you upset and do something slippery with the seller and they go complain to a state agency to you. That's what creates problems in our business. And I'm telling you, the rule number one, if you can just make your sellers happy, you'll avoid most of the pitfalls of being labeled a unlicensed broker practicing real estate. So the next one is make sure your contracts are assignable. Now, if you're using a state-approved contract, there's usually a little box there if it's assignable or not. A lot of these states are changing how that box works, so you have to pay attention. Remember, as long as your contract's assignable, you have the right to assign your contract because you have an equitable interest. It has to clearly be defined in the contract. The next one you want to do is you need everything in your power to avoid being defined as a licensed broker, okay? And here's how they define a licensed broker agent. If you try to sell a property you do not own on record and you advertise the property, especially without your seller's permission, you are in violation of this regulation. That's it, okay? That's what you're breaking the statute. So how do we avoid by doing that? Number one is understand you are only selling your contract. You are not selling the property. You guys have to understand when you put pictures out on the internet, when you put out your flyers, when you put out your mass emails, you are putting yourself at risk. Here's what you need to do. Number one, sell your contract. Okay, Rick, what do I do? Sell a picture of the contract? No. You talk about your contract. If you talk within the scope of your contract, it is a legal, viable transaction, and you do not have to fear retribution of doing something illegal in wholesaling. Guys, if you just follow these simple rules, you'll never have a problem. I've been doing this 19 years. I've never had a problem. I know people in all these states you talk about, they just go full on with their business. If you let everybody scare you into you have to get a license, unless it is law and it's the only way you can transact in your state, in my opinion, getting a license puts you more at risk of all real estate deals you do. Because remember, now your marketing piece, you have to put on there that you're a licensed broker agent. You have to disclose everything on every marketing piece. Dude, that kills my business because I'm telling you, I'm something other than a realtor, but then I put on my marketing piece, I'm a realtor. That's going to kill you if you get licensed. Number two, if there's ever any scrutiny from another agent or anything, now you have to answer to a board. What happens when we do wholesale and real estate deals? 95% of agents do not understand what we do. So it's going to open up to you a lot of scrutiny, especially if you do a lot of real estate deals like I do. You want to avoid being defined as an unlicensed broker agent. You are only going to sell the contract. When you guys send out these mass pictures to unknown lists, it's a problem. So I've always told you, when you have a cash buyer's list, vet them. Make sure you have quality. Quality over quantity. The quantity is you're going to have state regulators on there now. You're going to have other agents that are going to rat you out. Guys, you better make sure you got like real buyers on there. And you are only selling the contract. Number three, this is a big understanding and a distinct difference. You have to have obtained permission from the seller to do any type of advertising or marketing on the property, even on the contract. So how do I do that? You can make it part of your contract. You can have an addendum to your contract. You have permission. And you also want to let them know verbally. Most of these states that are kind of in the gray area are telling you you have to have consent. Now, if they signed a contract and it's written in the contract, that's consent. Keep in mind, if the seller complains on you, it's going to backfire on you. So not only would I get written consent, I would let them know what you're doing. But Rick, this is wholesaling. Guys, remember in the beginning I talked about being honest and ethical. We're helping people out. We let them know we're making a profit and we're going to bring our partners in. We sometimes buy it ourselves or we have other partners of ours that buy it. That's being honest and ethical. If they have a problem with it up front, that's not a deal that you can take on assignment. You'll have to double close on that deal. Number four, no matter what you post on your buyer's list, when you send it out, you better make sure you have accurate information. If you put any type of misleading advertising on there with outrageous comps or factual information that's just flat out not true, you are now at risk of acting as an unlicensed broker agent, and you are at risk of doing a violation. If you're going to make some far-fetched claim because you want to like get out a marketing spin, this is the stuff that'll come back and haunt and blow up on you. Once you print something or put it out on the internet, you cannot take it back. So whatever you put out there, just make sure you stick to the facts and the numbers. Don't do empty promises. Do not say the property has central AC when you know it's got 3 window units. If it's misleading and it's interpreted as false marketing, you are at risk on these types of deals. So guys, just tell the truth. It's just, you can have sexy marketing, make it look good. Just use the facts of the property, square footage, lot size, some of the features on it, and you can do it that based on selling your contract. Remember, it's not about pictures of the property. It's got to be factual information that comes from your contract, because you're only selling the equitable interest. If you sell your equitable interest on a contract that's assignable, you just close it to your seller, meaning you have permission to market and advertise. This is going to keep you out of the unlicensed broker arena. And last but not least, guys, you have to understand, you have to know what your intent is. What do I mean by that? If you ever got cited for a violation of practicing as an unlicensed broker, and your case has to go from a hearing in some sort of regulatory committee, which is most how they do, is they're going to look at your intent. But Rick, my intent's just to assign the property. I get it. But you need to build a war chest to follow through on your intent. Whenever you write a contract, the true intention of a contract is for you to follow through in good faith and buy the property. Now, if you haven't closed on a few properties and funded them yourself, or got a hard money person or a private or soft money, or even have a rental, you're at risk at this part. If you don't have the ability, go ahead and set up a relationship with a private lender or a hard money lender, or set up your own credit. If you had to close on a deal, you could. If a deal goes awry and you were examined to see if you had the ability to close on that contract and you had no way, you had no solution or no idea, you are practicing as an unlicensed broker agent, and you're going to be at risk in this. So your intent can simply work on your funding. Have a private partner that's willing to fund it, and maybe take a deal or two down to show you always have the intent, and you can use that as a future reference. You don't need to take down every deal, but like there's a lot of deals we take down. I've been doing this a long time, but if you're brand new, make sure you have a plan to take a deal down, because if your intent is only to assign and never ever close on a property or have the ability to close on the property, you will be labeled as an unlicensed broker practicing real estate, and you're going to be subject to the fine. So guys, remember, the only thing they can ever go after you for something being illegal is if you fall in the category of an unlicensed, basically real estate agent, or AKA broker. And I've just given you all the tips to avoid getting into those pitfalls. If somebody tells you got to go out, you got to get licensed, I'm just telling you, for the most part, 95% of the states in the United States, you do not have to have a license to do wholesaling. This is just a big myth. And 9 times out of 10, the myth is sold to you because they have a solution for your dilemma. And I find it ironic that people that tell you about the problem have a solution to sell you to fix it. Guys, it's your decision if you want to be licensed or unlicensed. Last, I'll leave you with, if you violate practicing as an unlicensed broker or agent, most of the fines range between $250 and $500 per violation. Now, you can have multiple violations on it, but like, keep in mind, you're not going to jail. Okay, it's a civil infraction. It's not criminal. And number two, at $200 to $300 a pop, maybe $500. Like, even if you made that mistake, it's not going to devastate your ability to be wholesaling. So like, it's not illegal, guys. That's the bottom line. It is not illegal. People keep saying it's illegal. For the most part, wholesaling is 100% legal. It's up to you to take this information, decide if you have to be licensed or unlicensed. Now, if you're in a state where they flat out require it, you can't do any real estate with it other than your own personal like residence, then by all means get it. But the states that are writing kind of these gray statutes, just comply. Make sure you're selling your equitable interest. Make sure you have permission, and make sure you are vetting your buyer's list so you do not fall in these violations. And worst case scenario, if you had a violation, it is a civil matter. I heard someone tell me, hey, Rick, I'm going to go to jail if I wholesale. You're not. It's a civil infraction. Most of them are $250, and you'll survive. And then you'll have to update your operating procedures to avoid violating that dilemma of being an unlicensed broker, or you can decide to get a license. Now, remember, if you get a license, you get a whole nother set of liabilities. You are now have to disclose to every party every time on all marketing. And for that reason alone, I do not like being a licensed agent, because you no longer have the autonomy of saying, I'm different than a real estate agent, because then you are a real estate agent. So see what you think. I know wholesaling is not illegal in most of the states in the United States. The reality is they're writing these little statutes to kind of discourage you from it. As long as you comply, in my opinion, you don't have to go out and get your real estate license unless it is 100% mandated by your state and there's no other way around it. Then you have to comply. But for the most part, I don't think you have to get your license. I've done it 19 years without a license. You guys tell me what you think. Do you want to get a license? Because remember, a license, you have to disclose everything. You have to pay fees. A lot of you wind up in the National Association of Realtors, and it costs you $3,000 or $4,000 a year, and you have to submit all your paperwork to the broker, and then you got to get insurances, and there's a whole set of pitfalls, and then all your transactions are subject to scrutiny if somebody complains. Who would complain? Another realtor or anything like that. Guys, keep your sellers happy, and you'll avoid most of the pitfalls in these states where they write these really gray area laws. So tell me what you think. Are you going to go out and get a license? Are you scared? Have I convinced you wholesaling is not illegal? I'm telling you, it's not illegal. Don't take my word for it. Check out this video. Tell me what you think. And you make the decision, take this information, decide what you're going to do with it. Guys, this is Rick with Flip with Rick. Do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button if you like this content and you want to continue to receive the absolute best information available today on the internet on wholesaling. This is Rick again with Flip with Rick, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.